Now, as many of you will know, the Spectrum wasn't originally designed to be a games machine, and so it had no real aspect of being able to use a joystick apart from later add-on peripherals. But what about if you have some of those early games which didn't take advantage of those interfaces and you wanted to use a joystick? And here it is. This is the ComCon, released by Frel Limited in 1984. It cost originally £17.95. Fair amount at the time. And yeah, it's a masterpiece. It almost looks like a synthesizer of some kind of, or some kind of soundboard. But yeah, so we have all these wires coming out here, and you'll see they've all got these markings. So each of these wires is one function on a joystick. So we have up, down, left, right, function 1, function 2. And the idea is simply, you say, if I want up to be, well, normally let's say it's Q. You put it in Q, and now when you press up on the joystick, it will fire Q across to the Sinclair Spectrum. Very simple design, very clever, I would say. So let's set this up as we would normally do it. So we normally have A is down, O is left, P is right, and the fire button I personally normally have as J. I know people have M and space as well, but there you go. So set up like that. Using a normal joystick, we would have QA, OP, and J as our control. So any game that was configured to use those, we now do that. Very clever bit of tech. We'll plug it into a Spectrum in a second so we can see it working. But the other thing, of course, is normally I would use the Simply Wonderful, slightly awesome Cheetah Ballistics as my controller of choice for these things. And this does have 2 buttons, but they are both the same button. So it doesn't matter which one you push, you'll get button 1 firing. So we saw this F2 thing, and now what does that do? Well, that is a second fire button, yes. But obviously, normal Spectrum joysticks were single fire buttons, so this wouldn't be able to be used to do anything with that. Now, there were some joysticks that did turn up that could use 2 buttons. So we've got the Flight Link, the Quickshot 2+2, that's a different one. So there's a Quickshot 2 and a Quickshot 2+, this is a Quickshot 2+2, or the Voltmace Delta 35. All very hard to get now. I couldn't find any at all. I could find similar models, but not the right models. This will work with this joystick, but you only have 1 fire button. It works with any Atari standard pinout, so Kempston basically, and it will work. So how do we use a second button when we don't have a joystick? Well, the good news is what I do have, if you pardon the squeaking you're going to hear in a second, because there's some polystyrene involved. Oh, there we go. I do have this, and this is a GX4000. More importantly, I have a GX4000 controller. And I'll just get that out of the way and just take the controller. The good thing about the GX4000 controller is it has the exact right pinout that this requires to use both buttons. How lucky is that? So we will use this to do our little experiments, and we will put, I guess F2 we'll put as M, which is kind of the other people's choice of fire buttons. And then we can just plug in GX4000 controller into there, and then we can get all that stuff out of the way, bring our Spectrum in, plug this back into the back of the Specky, just like we normally would. There we go. And now we have a joystick that will fire off fairly standard keyboard mappings, but there can be any keyboard mappings we want, so it doesn't matter. Right, I will set this up and we'll be back in a second. Here we are at the Spectrum boot screen, I guess you'd call it. This is a bit dark. This is I've composite modded this Spectrum. I need to mess around with the transistors to make it lighter. But yeah, so if we take our Amstrad joystick and we just start pushing the directions, you'll see we'll just start having all of those buttons are now mapped to a keyboard, which is brilliant. Okay, so you're probably thinking, right, I mean, the Spectrum had cursors that you can see them. If you look at the top of the 5, 6, 7, 8, they're marked as cursor keys. a lot of games use those anyway, so as soon as the Kempston joystick came around, they just worked. It wasn't that long into the Spectrum's life before people realised games were a big thing and the joystick interface started coming out. So really, the use case for this probably wasn't very long. But that second joystick button gives it a bit of an edge over the other joystick interfaces around there, and I think keeps it relevant as well. So to do this, we're going to have to load a game up. So let's turn off the Spectrum for a second, which will wreck the recording, so I have to sort that out. And I'll be back in a second. We'll get something sorted out and we'll start loading the game up. So we have a div MMC in the breakout port this has got. I forgot about to mention the breakout port. It's got a breakout port. And it kind of looks like it's designed to be there, right? It looks really cool like that. Anyway, we'll push the old button on here. Now the joystick won't work because this is designed to use a Kempston joystick, but we can use the cursor keys, as we've kind of mentioned already. So we're going to load one of my favourite games, and what I actually think is probably the best game on the Sinclair Spectrum, full stop, and that is Rex. So let's get down here. Come on, load up. Right, so here we are. This is Rex. Now, if we go here, we can define our keys. So if we define our keys as being up, down, left, right, J. So there you go. Those are, as we know, the keys that we set up for the layout on this. So as we move around, you can see we can do it. We can fire. We can do everything. Now to jump, we have to push up, which is not great, I will say. Even on this joypad, which isn't too bad, I will give this to Amstrad. They made a joypad which is not too bad. It's a bit of a pain. So if we just turn off the machine quickly. Oh, you know what? I don't think we need to turn the machine off at all. I think what we'll do is we'll just do this on the fly and hopefully not blow anything up. So if we just remove the Fire 2 lead from where it was in M and replace the jump with Fire 2 by putting it in Q. So now, if we use the second fire button, we jump. And I think that is just the perfect use scenario for this. And I think it just makes it more worthwhile. It just adds so much to it. Anyway, I think this is a lovely device. I think it is still a good device. It looks amazing. Let's be honest. It's an incredible piece of technology, but it kind of resonates the shed manufacturing industry of its time, where it just kind of feels like it's quite homemade, but it's also well made as well. I'll try to drop in some pictures of the circuit board, and it just, it's very, it looks like it's been well constructed, and it works, and it's still useful because of things like this. Anyhow, thanks for watching. If you like the video, please hit like. If you really like the video, please hit subscribe. If you didn't like the video or you have something else to say, then please leave it in the comments below. We're going to be doing a competition soon to celebrate reaching 4,000 subscribers. It's something I've done for the previous big milestones. I don't know the details yet, but I will put them onto the channel and social media thingies at some point. Anyhow, see you next time.
The present is horrible, the future looks bleak. Remember our childhood to get us through the week.